We are going to be talking about a ton of stuff, so stick around. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. Nordvpn is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. I can't say thank you enough. All right. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today, we have a ton to go over in a short amount of time. As some of you watched over on my other channel, I officially have the cough. First time in 3 years that I actually got it, and knew pretty immediately what it was because of how I felt, which for a long time there, I did not think much of it, but I get why people say that they feel like they've been hit with a truck. So it may be a little dark. The focus may not work as well. It usually doesn't when there's no light, but I have the worst headache ever. So we're going to go through stuff fast. There's too many important things to really skip today, and there's always that kind of thing in the back of my head that makes me want to be like, have you guys know what's going on. Especially with everything that's happening right now. So Mick Victor says it's just the thing. So it very well may be the new version of it. And yes, I kind of agree with you on that because it will come back year after year and people can get it multiple times. But there's definitely something to be said. I am 35 years old. I've been sick plenty of times when you get the shakes. And that's the real main thing. That's the same thing Dex said that he had when he got it. And it was, well, in fact, let's just bring in Dex. Hey, Dex, how are you doing? This is my internet brother and co-host. Dex, what's going on?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I am doing just fine.
I was on the phone with you right before a show, like, what was that, 2.5, 3 months ago or something?
Yeah.
And what was your first side effect?
It was the shakes. It was the strongest shakes I'd ever had. Like, it was so bad I couldn't even walk. I could barely walk. I was trying to walk to the bathroom, and my entire body was shaking. It was weird.
Yeah, I woke up at 8 in the morning with our kids, and then just laid down. I felt really tired, and then at 2, I woke up with the worst chills, and it's like it's constant. It's like your body goes into these chills, which I've had before, but this was just, it's like I couldn't move. So I totally get now. Here's the thing. You have to understand, I have not seen this go around like this now, and my lower back and body aches and my head hurts and I've got pressure behind my eye. Most definitely they could very well say, this is the new thing, right? Either way, everyone has it now, and it's like almost summer. It's not, we're not in full-on winter. I know probably 10 people that have it now, and I really haven't known many people that really had any kind of thing. They had it, but they didn't have it, There's a lot of people that had it, but it didn't do anything. Just this year, all of a sudden, everybody has it. And watch, I think that a lot of people are going to notice this. And what that may end up doing is that may be reason to do a 2.0 of what happened in 2020. So nobody's looking forward to that. So I was the last one. I think, I thought I got it in December of 2019 and thought that I was good and it was over. But I think this is an every year thing. So And this is definitely different. So I am going to fly through a lot of stuff. And then, of course, if you want to follow along, and since I'm not going to hit everything here, on the website, you have marfooglenews.com. You can follow along on all of the articles, tweets, videos, pictures that we show you. And on the website, you'll see that it's actually organized by thumbnail. So you'll just look for this thumbnail, and then you will see today's thumbnail, that leaked audio file, of course, of Taiwan, that basically has audio files of the the Xi government, one of the first ever public top secret military meetings, saying that they are mobilizing and ready to take Taiwan. I talked to one of my friends earlier, and he said, well, they've been saying that for a long time. This is different because this was in a top secret fashion, and they kind of blurted it out, or I guess it leaked, and the talk on that 57-minute tape is pretty serious. So who knows what's really going to happen. Again, down below on the website, there's the yellow bar. That's the web-only content. That's the stuff that is too hot for TV. The stuff that is too far to one direction for us to cover here on YouTube. Again, there's an entire other show. So that is all there. And then if you do want to support any of us through the products, like, of course, Nordvpn and EMP Shield and things like that, you can get them on the boxes on the right. All right, and then, Dex, I'm going to have you talk about the Chili's restaurant using robot servers to make jobs easier for workers.
Well, yeah, here we have a large chain, in this case, Chili's, which I'm sure everybody's heard of, is actually rolling robots out and they're saying it's making it easier for workers. I don't know if that's, I'm sure it's easier for some, but it's also going to be taking away jobs for others, which I guess is not part of what they're saying when it comes to topics like this. But we've certainly covered, how all of this automation and things like robotics and other stuff are really, the new in thing for a lot of companies, and they're trying to find ways to replace people, basically replace, the jobs that people are doing. So in this scenario, I think it's one in which we hear a lot in the restaurant industry where they can't get help, they can't find help, and so they're looking at this as a way of augmenting that. But in this scenario, it's a robot that delivers the food, or helps make it easier to bring out the tray of food. And we've seen this, I've seen examples of this recently in other individual restaurants, but now we're seeing a large chain actually take it up. I think this takes away from one of the roles that we've seen many people play, which is, I guess, a table runner or somebody that runs the food out. So it's just the sign of the times. It's not, we could probably report on this daily. There's going to be a new device taking someone else's job just about every day that we've been reporting on this. So,
yeah, and people aren't going to take it seriously until it takes their job. But that's, of course, what happens. People don't, they don't really care until it affects them personally. Elon says a recession is a good thing because it has been raining money on fools for too long. Dex, what does he mean by that?
Well, it's easy for a successful business person to make this claim, but there is a little bit of truth in here. And I'm not trying to say that he's full of it when it comes to this, because there's a lot of companies out there that aren't in a good position. In other words, they're not cash flow positive. They're not necessarily turning a profit. They're losing money left and right, and basically venture funding or stock offerings and other things are sort of keeping them afloat. And those companies all look for the future to be their payday, and in the future we'll make our money. And he's sort of making the point that we're at that time now where it's a good time to sort of clean house. In other words, all of these companies that are just floating around on investment dollars and not actually creating a positive output for their company should probably go under or fold or be acquired or merge into other companies, et cetera. So that's his point. I think he also claims in his opinion that it's about a 12 to 18 month time period in his mind, that how long this would this recession, if you want to call it that, would take. That was his response to it, but he's also sort of said, it's also a good time to clean house, so to speak.
Well, I mean, a recession is kind of, It should, you know, everybody's afraid of saying depression, especially him, since his Twitter affects so much in the market. I think that it's headed worse for that, the total dollar collapse. But, you know, who what do you think? Put it in the comments down below. Caroline Shepard, I did a home test, so who knows? I could have the F, L, and the U, but I will say, everyone around me all of a sudden has the thing, and I have some thoughts. I can't say those thoughts, but I have not had anything for 3 years, and I've got the cough, and the home test that I did, because I wouldn't, you know, the home one, it was like, it's kind of like a pregnancy test, and if it was a pregnancy test, I would be a dad in about 30 seconds. It said to wait 15 minutes. It was like instant. My wife was just getting over this eye thing that happened, and that was bad. And then all of a sudden this happened. So our kids came home sniffling. I think they say if it is whatever they say it is with the low load from kids or whatever, that it won't be that bad. But I will say, I was the first time until Dex had it. That was when I kind of, you know, that's when I started saying, like, this is something scary in the way of, you know, the kind of thing that was made, you know. So anyways, and they know that now, but, you know, of course, nobody pays attention to that stuff. So yeah, I've been having really bad chills. That's probably the worst part of it, just not being able to move around. Why chickens are getting more pricey from Manhattan to Malaysia. We've talked about this a lot. We've shown you that it is going up and up and up and up and up. It's not going to stop. So this is why we definitely recommend that people get their stuff, you know, stocked up if you can. Grab yourself a freezer if you have the ability. You know, try to stock up on chicken and things, and try to freeze it and keep it for a while, because the price is going nuts. Dex, you said where I am, it's been going absolutely off the charts for even just like a little piece of chicken. I don't know how it is in Georgia, but it's pretty bad here, and it's only going to go up.
Yeah, we used to cook whole birds and chicken wings all the time, and we haven't bought them in it seems like forever, because the prices have gone up quite a bit. But you know, this article is a little interesting because there's a couple other factors. Like, we report quite a bit on the culling and the reason they've been doing the culling, which is all of the disease that's going around, and it's happened in the UK, but it's also happened quite a bit here in the US. And you would certainly think that that's part of it, but there's actually other aspects to this that's really, you know, adding to the problem worldwide. And it's not just that disease that's going around; it's also, you know, shortage on feed. And you think about, you know, you can't raise chickens without feeding them. So you've got to have that feed and being able to get to that feed and be able to have enough of it to supply. And then you've got these countries now, because of the worry around supply and shortages, they're all starting to say, hey, we're not going to export. We're going to hold everything because we got to keep what we have for ourselves, just to make sure we've got enough food, especially if we may not be getting something else from another country. We're at least going to keep our chickens. Whatever country is producing chickens is actually stopping the exporting of it, and they're keeping it. And they're doing it also because of disease as well. But still, when you think about countries hoarding, if you want to call it that, or at least not exporting, you think about a shortage of feed, and then you think about all the culling that's been going on due to disease. It's definitely no wonder why chicken has gone through the roof. And oh, by the way, let's not forget, it is like the most consumed food out there. It's the most consumed meat in the world. So demand is super high, prices are going through the roof, and supply is shortening.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, but somebody said that I'm wearing Putin's knee blanket. That's pretty funny. Yes, I'm wearing Putin's knee blanket. Either way, by the way, if you guys can, I already let people know on that other video. If you can, I already have the way that I'm going to handle this settled. And what sucks though is because it was on a Friday and a holiday, it's going to be harder to do these kind of telehealth things that everybody does. So yes, everybody doesn't need tell me. I already know. I've had my whole family do a certain way, and it has worked for everybody. The same way that, many celebrities have done and gotten picked on for. So I already know. I know the 4 main things that you need to do, vitamin C, all that kind of stuff, and, of course, the other ones. So don't worry about let me know. I know. I already know. But what sucks, though, is just like Dex, he did his thing on a Friday, and then he couldn't get his stuff until Monday. I hope that doesn't happen, because it was like it hit me like a ton of bricks, and it's like if you get it early, it would be done. Lord Andrew, yep, I totally know. ZC, the quill, you know what I mean. And then we have Twitter shareholders sue Musk, claim he deflated stock price. So again, this is something that I don't know where it's actually going to go, but Twitter shareholders have filed a lawsuit accusing Elon Musk of engaged in unlawful conduct, aiming at sowing doubt about his bid to buy social media company. The lawsuit, filed late Wednesday in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California, claims that the billionaire Tesla chief executive has sought to drive down Twitter's stock price because he wants to walk away from the deal or negotiate a substantially lower purchase price. It says San Francisco-based Twitter is also named as a defendant in the lawsuit, which seeks class action status as well as compensation for damages. A representative for Musk did not immediately respond to message for comment on Thursday. Twitter declined to comment. So it's like he later said that the deal can't go forward until the company provides information about how many accounts on the platform are spam or bots. It's like, is this actually going to happen? Everybody looked at him and said, he's going to be this hero. If he doesn't buy it, or if it just continues, then there's going to be no point. Maybe this was, I don't know. It seems like it's. Yeah. Do you think it's going to happen?
Well, I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest. But I also think that this lawsuit is kind of silly. I think if someone is really looking at who's at fault here, I would look to the corporation of Twitter and everything that they have publicly stated in their public records, quarter over quarter and year over year, about how many, real users they have or don't have on their platform. And if they have been falsifying that information or misleading the public into what their audience is, if they say they have, 1 billion users, but in reality, half of them are bots, that's a problem. And they've always said it was like 5% or less. So if they've been actually saying and fudging that number publicly, they're really the ones at fault, because, he's coming in to buy something and, he's basing it on the public record. He's basing it on the information that's been published, because it is a public company. They have to publish all of this information about it. And so he's sort of in a right position to say that. Now, if it comes back and it's, less than 5%, which is what they say, well, then, yeah, he should be obligated to pay the full price he offered. But if they actually come back and it's dramatically less, I think it's the company's fault, because they should have been reporting properly. And guess what? Their stock value would have been a lot less, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago than it's been. And his offer to buy would have been, appropriate based on the value of the company. He did it based on the public value. And if they lied to the public, then that's a big issue.
Oops. And then, by the way, I just want to say thank you to Tater Tots. We have Tater Tots Grandma. Sorry, Tater Tots Grandma. Keep looking up Godspeed. Oh, I'll be fine. It sucks. Deborah Garner, thank you so much for your massive support. And then, of course, Bible Talk 777. I decided Elon is two-faced, gov-loving, bad guy. Get well, bro. Thank you. And, well, it's pretty easy to see all the ties with the government. So, we'll see. And then, before we talk about the iCountry, if you have not already, this is actually running our show. It's called an energy solar generator, and all of our power bars and our lights and our music is all powered off of one Flex 1500. This device is an amazing and flexible solar generator that can actually be expanded upon. So a lot of the solar generators out there, they have a built-in battery. When that battery eventually degrades, or 10 years down the road, if it dies or something, you're basically stuck getting a whole new generator. That, and you cannot expand upon it. This, you can actually expand up to 96 batteries. And this isn't a little thing. This is the size of a bread box, and those batteries are the size of a bread box. Again, you can actually connect up to 96 batteries to it, and you can make a wall, essentially. Not only that, they have really clever mods. This all stacks. So if the usual person has either 1 or 2 batteries with a base unit, you can actually do, say, 2 batteries in a mod that allows you to charge it with, instead of 4 solar panels, you can actually charge it with 12. It allows you to plug in 3 sets, essentially. This thing is really amazing, and the great part about it is it's silent. There's no gases that are emitted, and then also it is deathly silent. It is running right now. Again, I can't run one of those Walgreens dollar store fans. I couldn't run one of those hand-powered fans from the dollar store without it picking up on my mic. This is absolutely silent. It makes no sound. But also, that means no one will hear you. That's a big deal, especially when you're talking about if an SHTF situation happens, then you're not going to want to advertise that you have power. Also, gas is going to be extremely hard to attain. The best bet would be have both solar and gas, and have gas stored, but most people that live in apartments and other things, or want to have one for their truck or somewhere else, they can't really do that. Now, this can be actually charged by the car, by the wall, or even by the sun. So, again, if you go over to marfooglenews.com/energy, use the code Marfoogle. Make sure to put that in, and then you will be helping our channel as well as getting on that list to get yourself one. There is a wait list right now because of the shortage of different parts for this, so make sure to get in as soon as possible. The people that already have it absolutely know why we recommend this. So, Bug Nana, Kenny Crowder, thank you. Virginia Prepper, Daryl Calhoun, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Physician Seth Tron, thank you for subscribing. Rion, and B&B, thank you for your support. I'm sorry I missed you. And then Bandana Rana. Drink tonic water constantly. It deactivates the BUG. Hope you feel better soon. I heard that too from my mother-in-law. SP1111, still with you, Marf, Dex, and all. That's awesome. And then, of course, Bones and Tub Show, thank you. I appreciate that. And then, I see that I totally know what you're saying. Trust me, I've got the whole front line, the whole stuff going. I know the entire, I did a lot of research on what I needed to do, and I had a lot of family with successful stories, so that was lucky. I had a network of family. Also, I'm hoping I can get my hands on stuff before Monday, so that would kind of suck. Okay, and then the iCountry seizes 2 Greek tankers in the Persian Gulf. Tensions spike. It says that ICE paramilitary Revolutionary Guard seized 2 Greek oil tankers on Friday in the Persian Gulf, just after Athens assisted the U.S. in seizing an Iranian oil tanker over alleged sanctions violations in the Mediterranean Sea. The Guard's announcement comes as tensions remain high between the iCountry and the West over stalled negotiations regarding its rapidly advancing nuclear program. And while the Persian Gulf has seen a series of attacks since former President DT unilaterally withdrew America from the accord in 2018, there's not been a major incident at sea in months. So they physically took a few of their ships. We keep track of everything in the Middle E because a lot are looking at this and saying, hey, everybody's going to be looking over here. Everybody's going to be looking over here. And then all of a sudden, what will pop off will probably be in the middle or somewhere else. Vicky K, and that's just a thought. You know, obviously anything can happen. There's multiple hot points around the world. NK and SK, of course, the I countries in the Middle E. And then, of course, you have Vlad and UKR. And, of course, Xi, Japan, and Taiwan. Let's see here. Kenny Crowder, thank you so much. Chewy Weather, LL Luna 3377. Sarge 83, thank you so much. Thanks for everything you do. Thank you. I appreciate that. Grand Illusion, I appreciate you. Thanks for stopping by. Virginia Prepper, glad you decided to show. Hope you and the missus feel better and get well soon. The Miss is actually good. Her eyes is recovering really well. Hey, Marf, I started a YouTube channel, Virginia Prepper. If you'd like to check it out, shout it out, please. Virginia Prepper, I will. Proud of you. That's an awesome feat. You just got to start putting stuff out. Big Shot Ben released The Quackin' and Miss Jackson. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Jackson. And civilization may not survive this. That's, of course, coming from Mr. George. And he's so well known that really he should just go by Old Man George instead of Boy George. Says Vlad may have started WW3. Dex, do you want to... in fact, I'm going to check something real quick. Can you cover this real quick?
Absolutely. So billionaire financier George said on Tuesday that Vlad's invasion of UKR may have been the beginning of WW3, and the best way to preserve free civilization was for the West to defeat him. So he's basically, going all in on this conflict and going all in and saying it has to be done, as well as sort of making a statement that this is the beginning of the great conflict. So, he has, sort of a history behind him that I know a lot of people in this audience have a lot of questions about, who he is and what he's done. And there's nobody's really necessarily jumping up and down loving to hear from this person. But when he's speaking at, at events where all of these people get together, that place begins with the letter D, and ends in Avos. This is a place where all of these elites come together, whether they're from business world, the finance world, or just political world, and leaders. They come together and they make these grandiose statements, and they talk about what it is they want to do to the world and how they think things should change or what they think they should be done. And he is no slouch when it comes to this. He's definitely been involved in quite a bit of the events that have happened over the years in different countries, including UKR. So it's not surprising to hear him make a statement like this. But when it comes out, it's also not eye-opening. It's not like I would have expected. I'm shocked that he's saying this, but it's also something that when you think about the elite and the people that are at the top and what they're doing or what they're trying to get done, it certainly gives you an eye into what they're thinking, right? And understanding what position they're coming from and how they're positioning, the current situation. And if we want to think about where that may or may not go, since a lot of people think that the bankers and the elite sort of drive what happens globally around the globe, this is the best clue you're going to get, I think. So anyway, with that said, there's a lot, still up in the air as to whether or not something is going to expand out of UKR or not. I think a lot of eyes are on the other side of the world with Taiwan and what's going to be happening there next. And we'll be talking about that a little later in the show as we dive into some of the leaked audio that came out. And we've been covering, day over day about all the events that are happening there. But as it relates here to UKR, I think it's, definitely something that, we need to pay attention to. And if it does escalate from there, which all of these leaders keep saying, it's it's going to go nuclear, it's going to go this, or, Vlad has to be taken care of, right? They're all sort of positioning the same thing over and over again. So we sort of have to put that lens on and understand why it is they're saying it and what control they have to bring about the fruition of their views.
Thank you, Dex. Sorry it was a little bit long. But my uncle stopped by with the stuff that I was waiting on the telehealth people for. So I've got enough to get by or to start. So I'm excited about that. So anyways, thank you guys. Yeah. But it's a different, milligram. So I think that I have to do the math or something. Anyways, I don't, make sure not to put anything in there in the chat because you don't want to give any kind of medical advice. All right. And then I did miss kind of what you were talking about. So let's go over Did you talk about the captured Vladian weapons are packed with U.S. microchips?
No, not yet.
I wonder if there's any backdoors that we put in it, right? Everybody else puts backdoors. What do you think?
Well, yeah, we certainly, it's been reported. It hasn't been confirmed by our government, but it's been reported by others for years now that U.S.-based chips have backdoors for NSA and others, three-letter agencies. So I was kind of surprised when I saw this article about the number of chips that are actually American-made or come from, companies that were either, in the U.S. or part of U.S. conglomerates or whatnot that are in their systems, and it's a staggering number. The two things it tells me is, one, they may not be able to recreate some of their equipment without getting those chips from us, which is kind of a shock because you'd think all chips come from Taiwan or Xi's land, but there's quite a bit that come from us as well, especially some advanced stuff. But it also sheds the light on the fact that they won't necessarily have access to that if the sanctions continue to hold, as well as it sheds light on the whole notion, like you said, is there backdoors, and does that make it easy for us to sabotage or infiltrate certain systems like that?
Well, obviously, we've done a lot of backdoor work with them before all of this went down, and who knows? That may make some new theories. By the way, thank you for popping in and stopping by, Paul and Adrian, Off-Grid Desert Prepping, Off-Grid. You guys know what I mean. Thank you for stopping in, Paul or Adrian, whichever one. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. If you guys haven't gone out and checked their channel, I think you can click his name and actually go over and subscribe. And then we have U.S. plans to hold talks with China Taipei despite Xi opposition. United States government has scheduled to hold talks with Xi's Taipei and Taiwan officials despite Xi's fierce opposition to diplomatic relations between them and solemn warning against fostering ties with the self-governing island, which Beijing considers as its own territory. Two senior Taiwanese government officials cited by U.S. media on Friday in Taipei and Washington had plans to hold talk on trade and the economy despite the repeated warnings from Xi against it. The unnamed officials said that the countries could begin talks to deepen economic ties in a few weeks, with the goal of creating more significant trade and economic cooperation between the two. So just to remind you, throughout history, there's been a lot of peace talks and trade and financial trade that have happened in famous stories that it ended up, of course, going the opposite way, where they used that as kind of a cover to start something or get everybody's kind of defenses down. By the way, just a real quick reminder, and anybody that watches myself or Paul and Adrian from Off Grid or anybody else knows that you should probably be getting your ducks lined up. As I mentioned earlier, you can actually get stuff through us, and not only will it help our channel, but you'll get a discount on certain things. Like the 3-month supply is $150 off. That is at marfooglenews.com/prep. You can also get the Alexa Pure Pro, a water filtration system that, again, if you don't trust what's in your aqua, then make sure to filter it. These are professional systems that actually can filter a ton of water. Obviously, that would be needed if there is no pumping water and an SHTF situation ever happens. But all these things can be used for regular storms. If you are stuck for a week because of a snow-in or rolling blackouts, these are all recommended by every single prepping entity out there. So make sure to go over and check it out, marfooglenews.com/prep. And then we have Xi and Vlad veto new UN sanctions on NK for the first time since 2006. Vlad and Xi on Thursday vetoed a U.S.-drafted United Nations Security Council resolution to strengthen sanctions on NK in a vote the U.S. ambassador to the UN called dangerous, disappointing, and likely to fuel Pyongyang's program to develop nuclear-capable missile systems. The move comes after more than a dozen NK ballistic missile tests this year, which is crazy to think about, over a dozen tests. It says a resolution needs 9 yes votes and no vetoes by the permanent members of Vlad, Xi, of course Macron, the United Kingdom, and of course the United States, JB. And to be adopted by the UN Security Council, the 13 other members of the Security Council voted to adopt the resolution. Of course, that got vetoed. Says the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, blasted the vetoes from Vlad and Xi, which obviously they've been working closely together, doing joyrides in their jets together over leaders speaking in Japan a few weeks ago, and of course drilling together like nonstop. It says Russia and China, which hadn't blocked any of the 9 previous sanction votes made since 2006, saying the gravity of the threat from NK's weapons program has not changed for the first time in 15 years. Member has used a veto to stop the council from fulfilling its responsibility to hold the DPRK, NK, accountable for its unlawful proliferation. So there's obvious weird things about these connections between Vlad, Xi, and then of course NK. Dex, haven't you noticed that it's? And I've said before, I almost think that NK is going to be like their little henchman. Like,
yeah, he's definitely going to be a puppet, if nothing else, right? But this goes to the bigger picture, right? Let's take a step back and look again at the bigger picture. A few months ago, you just had the standard skirmishes in the GC, the South of GC. But we didn't have as much of this turmoil around Taiwan. I mean, we've had it, but we've talked about it, but it hasn't been as much as it's been the last, 30 days, right? We've been talking about so much in the last 2 weeks. So when you look at the big picture, this is yet another sign, right? This, for 15 years, these two countries have agreed to sanctions against NK, especially around the proliferation of nuclear weapons. So it's sort of like a big turnaround on their part. Well, why are they doing it? And well, we know why the bear's doing it, but it seems clear that when you look at the drills that were recently done by Xi, when you look at the statements that have been made about no one should be doing any relationship building or trade building with Taiwan, when you look at the leaked audio we're going to talk about later in the show, and you start to put all of this together, the signs are really ripe that things are really heating up over there, in the sense of it's on the brink, so to speak, much more than it was, say, 3 months ago, much more than it was, say, 6 months ago. Definitely we're at a point now where you've got plenty of signs to show that even at the highest levels, they are throwing jabs at one another, and they're not doing it just for mere political gain. This is serious. These are big deals that are happening, that are big signals to the world and to the rest of the leadership around the world.
It's funny. I've seen people too. They tell the people like myself and Paul and others that talk about this kind of stuff. They say that we're, fear mongering and this and that. People are just not waking up to the fact that they are going to rapidly change our world in a matter of, months, let alone years. But we're talking about less than a decade. We're going to have a completely different world. I mean, it's going to go way faster. I mean, you think the world changed from 2019 to 2021? Think about what everything that is lining up and getting approved. You can see the framework through not only the metaverse, which people laugh at the metaverse, say, I'm not doing VR. It's not going to matter. VR will be once the technology catches up with what they have planned, that is going to be the way that people do things. I know, and everybody, especially the older people I've talked to about this, it's the same thing, and they actually recognize that they thought certain things wouldn't catch on that did catch on when people said the internet wouldn't catch on. But as far as once you realize how they are going to use it and replace people and do all of this, it's a very scary thing, and people are not going to wake up until the last minute. It's how it's going to go. People are not going to wake up. And it's really sad. All of my friends that I talk to, the friends that I've been friends with forever, I can't even talk to them about this. It's like especially when you, and I know a lot of you are like this too, where you have all of this information, you've been following every little bit, and they haven't followed it. It's like you would have to send them 30 articles in a row, and they would actually have to take the time for them to believe you on these crazy thoughts that aren't even crazy. They're backed up. They have actual valid proof behind them. So when you just say one thing that's based off of 40 different things, they're not going to believe you unless they see all 40 in a timeline. And even then, they won't take the time or energy to actually watch it. I was just talking to my one friend about Timothy Cunningham. Think about that. That stuff's crazy. Think about all the stuff we covered over the last week with how they did that crazy exercise, and it just so happens to match what happened. I mean, and we're not talking about the other one. We're talking about a new one last year. So just get yourself ready, because nobody else is going to be, and people are going to be knocking on your door because they're not ready. That's why a lot, if I'm not personal friends with somebody, I don't tell them that I prep and all that kind of stuff, because think about it. Everybody that knows you're a prepper may be knocking at your door. And there's one thing to be said about like helping people as much as you can, and say letting somebody come that's not prepared. But at the same time, people are going to, when actual stuff goes down, people are going to become violent and scary. So most of you already know this. I mean, look at what happens just in a regional, weather event. People are just absolutely nasty to each other. And then look at the last 2 years. People are just nasty. And, I don't like saying bad things about everybody else, but there are a lot of nasty people out there. Mysterious South GC missile launch claimed to be caught by an airliner. Video taken from an airliner appears to show the launch of a missile from a ship or a submarine in the South Sea. It says that, of course, video has emerged on social media that is said to show an apparent launch of a missile, possibly from a submarine, as viewed from the Cathay Pacific Boeing 777 flying over the South Sea. Unseen individuals can be heard in the clip talking about whether it is heading their way. Twitter user Jay Shovernut, a pilot for the U.S.-based, that's probably J.C. Hovernut. Yeah, it's still just as bad. U.S.-based airline Allegiant Air, and a veteran of the U.S. Navy submarine community, posted the video seen below online Tuesday, which again, we have actually posted this on our website. Dex, do you want to describe what you saw there?
Yeah, I grabbed an image for you, Adam. If you want to pull it up, there's a couple of screenshots. Since we can't show the video, we don't know who owns it. But you can go look at the video in the article. It's on our website. But here's the thing. So this is still unconfirmed, at least unconfirmed of when was the video taken, although the poster is alleging it was done just recently. So it's a current video, and that's what they're trying to confirm is like what happened here. Because usually, pilots are given warning. They are told, hey, there's going to be activity in this area, or, BOLO this destination because we'll be testing or doing stuff. But when you're flying up in the air and you see this, ICBM coming up and going through the sky, of course, it wasn't right up against the plane, but it was close enough that with the cell phone video, they're able to capture, what's being seen and as it's traveling up in the air. That's kind of reckless on one hand, unless it was, done as not a test, as if there was something to be done with that. And so we have to, it's kind of interesting because usually, I know that when we've done all of our tests off the coast, especially off of Florida and other places, they will put out warnings, especially to, those in the ocean, those that are flying, hey, be aware that in this area at this time, there will be tests, don't, either stay out of the area or if you are, be aware of it. Right. But none of that happened in this particular scenario. So that's kind of troubling, at least for pilots that are flying in that, because that is a common route for planes to go through. So if they're flying through there and they're just, randomly launching, ICBMs up into the air, that has some risk.
Well, not only is it risk, it's freaky that they're doing these tests. They're practicing. They're practicing hitting. Of course, we have satellite images of making replica bases of the Japan-U.S. bases with planes exactly the same size, so they can coordinate and I'm losing the words here. Not.
Yeah, they had in the desert, they created all of the ships, and then they also created exact replicas of airfields and bases, so they could use that for practice runs.
I'm looking for the word of so they could dial in or adjust the numbers to it, but I can't think of it. My brain is so foggy, it's not even funny. It's like a constant floating. Lola Cafe, thank you so much for the super sticker. It says victory. Pez player says loves her husband the most now and always. Pez player, you have a lucky husband out there. Deborah Curry, always in my heart and prayers. Thank you, Deborah Curry. I appreciate that. Carol White, I appreciate your support as well. Thank you so much for being here and for being here for a long time. And we have Paul Susan Lee. Hello, we just moved 7 months ago from California to South Dakota and loving life here. We've been stocking up on food for 7 months now, and we have at least a year's worth now. Just bought a solar generator as well. I hope you ended up getting the energy. It really is the most awesome thing in the freaking world. I'll do a video on it because I want to show it off. It is absolutely amazing. And then Carol White, thank you so much. Chris G, thank you for your support over on PayPal. This week's PayPal. Thank you, David R. Doozer. Please check out my new novel. That's cool. We got another author available on Amazon. Love you, Adam, Dex Mods, and Fantastic Freddy or Foogle Family. I realize that's the same thing, right? Survival Living, aka CFP. Thank you, and I want to return those. You know you don't have to do that. Thank you. If you guys haven't subscribed to Survival Living, he is really a great guy. He knows he doesn't have to do that, and he still does. Franco LLC, the Madco Group LLC. Thank you guys. I appreciate your support. Cynthia K and Summer B. Previous from last month, Keith A, Natasha F, 3 City Cats, and of course Bible Talk 777. Thank you guys. Appreciate your support over there. All right, and then the leaked audio. I guess we have to first say that it's not 100% confirmed, but this is coming from Taiwan News, from one of their official mouth pieces. And again, they are a lot better than a lot of other places. This is one of their official news outlets saying that they got a top secret reporting of a PLA meeting, essentially saying that they are mobilizing and getting ready to actually invade. It's kind of like all of us have been at the edge of our seat waiting for this to happen. It very well may happen very, very soon. Dex, again, this is something that's pretty incredible. This is one of the first times ever that one of their top secret meetings has been public or released to the public. So does that say how important it is, or?
Well, and not only that, today's the 27th. This meeting actually took place on the 14th. So they talked about this readiness, basically a couple weeks ago. That's when the leak just came out
on the
in the last couple of days. But the meeting that the leak was from the 14th. So, just keep that in mind. If it is true, and if that is what is happening, they've been scrambling now to flip from a peacetime economy to a conflict time scenario. So, and that's exactly what they're talking about doing. They even went through and talked about how many personnel they were activating: 140,000 military personnel, 953 shops, 1,653 unit sets of unmanned equipment. They wanted to requisition 20 airports, 6 repair and shipbuilding yards, and 14 emergency transfer centers, as well as grain depots, hospitals, blood stations, oil depots, and gas stations. It was very detailed. It wasn't just like, somebody said, we're going to do this. They were literally going through saying, look, we're flipping to this. We need to get this up and running. This, Providence is going to do that. They're going to, get a certain number of ships, like 64, 100, 10,000 ton roll on, roll off ships, 38 aircraft, 588 train cars, and 19 civil facilities, including airports and docks. So all of this was, all around what they called this decisive battle in the Taiwan Strait. So very detailed. Of course, it's all translated. And so, all you have to go by, unless you know the language, is, what's being told, either in the audio itself or in the news reporting that's done the translations or has looked at it. But again, it is, if it's true, if it is what it really is, then it's kind of a big deal. Now, the other thing, I look at this and say, okay, well, if the public is getting this because it leaked, I'm sure our intelligence, community has this, obviously, but they probably have a lot more. Like, I'm sure they have seen, secret meetings and other types of information that they get, because that's their job. That's what they do for a living, right? So presumably they have a lot more. But that then sort of gives credence to all of the activities that we've been doing, right? We just sent our president on a tour, to sort of drum up support, so to speak, in behind closed door meetings throughout, Japan and SK and other locations, right? And we've been working hand in hand with Australia and others to, start creating, a plan of what we're going to do here. So all of these actions that have been happening in the last 2 weeks actually lend credence to the fact that this actually could be true. This leaked audio could actually be legit.
And will this be UKR all over again? That's the big question. Will they be sanctioned? They're also preparing to be sanctioned. They've already had that emergency meeting so they've had several emergency meetings. This one on the 14th, I don't know if that was that before they surrounded Taiwan? Or was that?
They surrounded it right before. They surrounded it with the delegates that went, and then they did the nuclear boomer flights when our president was there.
And they're apparently launching missiles out of submarines and practicing hitting stuff just like our air bases in Japan. And before I don't want to miss this, again, if you do want to protect yourself against EMP, make sure to go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. There's an actual way to protect yourself, the same way that, of course, agencies like DHC, DHS, DOD, and the DEMSO team protecting the Texas grid are doing. You can go get your actual protection for your home, your car. Again, if you have a car that you want to protect, you can get $50 off per device. Make sure to go over and check it out. marfooglenews.com/EMP. And Dex, other than the audio, which obviously is very telling, I'm sure many people are going to start. It seems like a few weeks before we'll start covering something, and then all of a sudden it will pop up. Now everybody is talking about what, of course, happened at the school. Everybody is talking about, of course, what is happening with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, which, again, it's entertainment, but people need to pay attention on what's changing.
It's funny. We had talked in yesterday's show. We had covered those scenarios, those doomsday scenarios that were planned out by the U.S. government, specifically the administration, not the current administration, but administrations in general coming from the office there. And we'd never had visibility into it. And that was sort of a back page article at the time. And then after we covered it, I'm not saying because we did, but I'm saying after we covered it, it sort of became front page, at least today, in a few different outlets, which I thought was kind of odd. But that's the point. We talk about a lot of these things. We definitely look for the information that's not the front and center. The front and center stuff is the distraction. The front and center stuff is what's being programmed. There's a lot of other things that are happening behind the scenes. They get less attention that people aren't talking about, or they're intentionally trying to bury, right? They can't hide it because it's going to be reported somewhere, but it just doesn't have to be put on the front page, and it can be, 12 pages deep. So, you have to look at all of that information. You try to have to bring it all to the surface and try to pick out what is really factual and important to the big picture, and then try to connect the dots. And I think that's what we do, and I'm not saying just you and me. When I say we, I mean the Foogle fam, because I can't tell you how many times, even as of late, that we're reporting information because we're getting it from you, from the Foogle fam, from people that are sharing everything to us, right?
By the way, I forgot to credit on Twitter where what Foogle fam member did we get this from? Do you remember?
Off Grid Wood, I believe, is the screen name. And it wasn't Twitter, but yes, that was Off Grid Wood.
So thank you, Off Grid. Foogle fam play a huge part in all of this. Dex, would you like to go over the web-only content? And I understand that today was a quick show. Again, we wanted to make sure that we did not miss, especially there's a lot of important stuff today. But I won't be doing a shoutro or anything because I am not capable. My head is scrambled. So, Dex, if you would like to cover the web-only.
Absolutely. And I can't fill in for you on a shoutro either because my voice is horrible. But yes,
I disagree.
There is a lot of other information. If you're new here and you haven't heard this spiel, go to our website. Go to marfooglenews.com and click on the thumbnail for the show and scroll down till you see that yellow bar right there that says web-only content. That's where the rest of the story is. And there's a lot going on here because those are the things that we can't talk about that we will talk about there. So if it's too far to one side, if it's too political, if it's too hot for TV, so to speak, that's where it is. Now, there's been a lot going on with the event in Texas, and a lot of things have changed significantly. A lot of the information that's coming out has been completely different than what leaderships have been saying. And in fact, some leaders are extremely upset because they felt like they were misled. And they're livid about what was happening, and what the information they were given to talk to the public about is totally different than reality. So all of that is starting to come to light. I highly recommend, if you haven't been paying attention to what's going on there, at least check in on this so you can understand what some of the changes are, so you understand what's happening there. And there's some other stories that go along with that. That's where all of the coverage around that topic is going to be. It's over there in web-only content. There's plenty of other things happening. Some stuff with the FDA, some stuff with, what's even going on in G's land that we can't cover or we didn't cover here in the main show, and even some updates on baby formula and what's happening there. So if you haven't gone to the website and you haven't looked at the rest of the story yet, I highly recommend you do. And by the way, if you're on YouTube, it's really simple. Just open that description of this video and look for show notes. It's the first link. It's right there. Click it. It'll take you right to this page. It's so easy. Again, marfooglenews.com. Click on the thumbnail for the show.
Thank you, Dex. And thank you, Irish Rebel. I appreciate your massive support. Again, my brain is not working right now. I really do thank you so much for your support at almost every show that you try to stop by, and I really do thank you. There's a few people that go above and beyond. You are one of those, so thank you. Joe Webb, thank you. Fate favors the prepared Dean. Thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that as well. And then great show, says Joe Webb. Thank you. Why do people say get well soon? No, get well now, not later. Much love, Adam, Dex, Miss Marf, Lexi, and Foogle fam. That's right, Aaliyah. Yeah, get well now. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Paul Susan Lee, thank you so much. Again, thank you, everybody that has stopped in. Release the Quacken. Casper Sparks, Cookielicious, Release the Quacken, Queen BTP, Jacktronics, and of course MC Dirty Work. Thank you everybody over on DLive. Thank you mods. Make sure to thank your mods right now. They have done a great job keeping it a peaceful and positive place. WV Prepared Mind, CJ Blaze, Trinity, J Stone. Of course, you've got Rip Curl. You've got Bones. You've got all sorts of great people over on DLive. Chance Paladin, Gem. Wonder Woman, so make sure to go over and check them out. They all have channels too, or books. Chance Paladin's an author, Jay Stone's an artist. We have tons of really talented people in the Foogle fam, so make sure to go support. All right, thank you, Dex. I appreciate you.
Much love, Adam. I hope you're feeling better now.
Thanks.
Oh.